name is Jessica Dana. I am 18 years old. I am a race car driver, entrepreneur, and college student starting in January.
And this week, Jeff Gordon and his foundation put on their annual Ultimate Speed Go-Kart event at Victory Lane Karting on Wednesday. And what a great fun event.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Oh.
Well, the guy on the left is Jeff Gordon. And there is Kenna Wallace, race car driver.
Race face.
Hey, this is some of the best go-kart racers in the country came here. Look at Kenna.
You know what? This is incredible. Jeff said, come have a good time. 100, go-karts? I qualified 10th, finished 6th.
Where'd you finish, baby? 6th.
Finished
That's it.
6th, but Jeff said this has got out of hand. Kart champions from all over the United States, and we raised what, JR, over $200,000?
Over $250,000 for the Jeff Gordon Children's Hospital. Going to buy a new cardiac monitor. This young lady, 15-year-old Jessica Dana from Washington State, won the thing.
Was Johnny there?
JR, he was a starting park.
Starting park at the Jeff Gordon Foundation.
That is how it all started, and my dad's checkbook has never been the same since. 3 short years ago, I was the typical 15-year-old. I had a 3.5 GPA, I was texting my friends 5,000 times a month, and my biggest worry was, do these jeans make me look fat? On my way home from school one day, my dad and I stopped by a place called Apex Karting. Little did we know that first day at Apex would change our lives in ways we could never anticipate. With a show of hands, how many of you consider yourself to be motorsports fans today? In the next 10 minutes, I hope to see every hand in here go up. I race in a series called NASCAR Super Late Models. They weigh 2,700 pounds, they have almost 700 horsepower, and they can reach speeds approaching 150 miles an hour. While racing these cars is only 10% of the workload, it's the treat you get after all the hard work you put into it. Each team member on the team has a role, from working on the car in the shop to making public appearances, promoting our brand and sponsors. I also have a role in the off-season, speaking at TEDx, for example, other conferences, business meetings, also promoting our brand and sponsors, and generating revenue for our upcoming season. Some of you may have heard of Danica Patrick. I often get asked if I can beat her. She races a 3,300-pound Chevy Impala SS. I race a 2,900-pound Chevy Impala SS. She has over 800 horsepower. I have just under 700 horsepower. Her races are 400 to 500 laps. Mine are 100 to 200 laps. She'll hit speeds approaching 200 miles an hour. I'll hit about 150, depending on the track we go to. In my first 12 months of racing go-karts, I own 5 track records. She owned none that we could find. In my first season in a NASCAR series, my average finish was 7th. Her average finish in her first season of NASCAR was 28th. There are 30 million dedicated NASCAR fans who would love to see me race against her. So my response is always the same. If given the opportunity, with comparable equipment, I can compete with anyone in this sport. So I thought you guys would like to get a taste of what these cars sound like if you're not familiar. That is me entering the corner at 120 miles an hour. So what did it take for me to get here? It took countless hours of practice in a go-kart where I didn't think I could hang on to the steering wheel anymore. Hundreds, if not thousands of hours working on the car in the shop getting ready for races, include dozens of media opportunities, business meetings, team meetings, and substantial economic support, and you'll just get a taste of what it took. My dad always told me, being a girl and good is just not good enough. This sport is far too competitive. What also got me to where I am is my parents. They have literally put their lives on hold to make this opportunity possible for me. I really want to talk to you about my dad. He sold his prized guitar collection. He sold his beloved hot rod. And where once he had a wood shop where he built guitars and humidors, is now a race shop full of race cars and race car parts. I think if you asked him, he would say he's loved every single minute of it, though. I realized how much this meant to him when I got to race against Travis Pastrana. My dad told me Travis Pastrana was coming up to Pacific Grand Prix in Kent, Washington to participate in a Rally America race. He also asked me if I knew who he was. My response was, "You've got to be kidding me. Everyone knows who Travis Pastrana is." So we went up to Kent just to be able to meet him. Little did we know they were actually selling raffle tickets to be able to race against him and the rest of the Rally America drivers. So my dad, being the guy he is, he bought $50 worth of tickets 3 different times the day to give me the best opportunity. And thankfully it paid off. My ticket was drawn, and I got to race against all of them. So I started about 18th of 20 drivers. I passed Travis Pastrana on the last corner of the last lap to win the race. When I came into the pits, my dad, all choked up, he said, 4,000 fans just went crazy when you made that pass. So going into the pre-final, I started first, and I won that race by a half a lap. With that race so dominantly won, one of the Rally America drivers thought I was in a cheated-up go-kart. So he commandeered my kart and starting position for the final. That later on was a decision he would regret, because I passed him before the first lap was even over to win that race too. So 4 weeks later, I was racing against 4-time Sprint Cup champion Jeff Gordon in Charlotte, North Carolina. Jeff was the one who inspired me to make a career out of racing. What makes this story all the more unlikely is the numerous disadvantages I have to overcome. 1, experience. The kids I race with, which there are very few, have been racing since they were 5, 6, 7 years old. Some have parents that race, some even have grandparents that race. I started at the old age of 15 with no previous experience from family members. It was me and my dad, and he had a book called Race Cars for Dummies. And number 2, resources. For those of you who aren't familiar with the sport, tires are a critical part of being competitive. More well-funded and competitive teams buy 3, 4, sometimes 5 sets of tires for a single race. My dad and I have managed to do it on 1. When we go to the track, I race knowing that if I wreck the car, we don't have the resources to fix it. There's a competitor I race with, they wrecked the car 15 times in 1 season. We can't do that. 3, gender. How would you feel at 15 years old, right before you're about to make an unheard of jump from a 365-pound, 32-horsepower go-kart to a full-size NASCAR Super Late Model? She is too young, we don't need a go-kart driver, no one wants to race with her, and she's going to hurt someone. My first ever late model race, I finished 4th, defeating most of the men that made these comments. It might appear I have everything going against me in this sport. I disagree. Born in Washington State, a product of the region and culture, I am the juxtaposition of this sport. So where do I want to go? In the next 5 years, I don't want to just make it into the top 3 series of NASCAR. I want to be one of the most recognized names in the motorsports industry. Known for my driving ability, dedication, and strong values, this is my brand and my opportunity. So along the way, I've learned a couple truths about myself. The team needs me to be more than just a race car driver. They need me to be the face of Jessica Dana Racing, and I am now ready for that challenge. I've also learned to become a leader. The driver is the most replaceable part of a team. And I've also learned it's never me, it's always we. And 3, it's a lot harder for me to get out of a race car during a red flag to go to the bathroom than it is for the rest of the guys. So my dad wrote a book titled "And She Thinks We're Just Racing." He wrote it to capture our story and raise much needed funds to race. I'd like to read you a couple pages out of the book. Actually, it's a couple paragraphs, it's not that long, I'm sorry. When I read this for the first time, I cried for about an hour. I was never going to leave her behind or leave her out because she was a girl. In an unexpected and amazing turnaround, she is now the one leading her team and letting them know they won't be left behind. What is extraordinary is she has no intention of leaving me behind either. Motorsports, however, in some odd way, has been something Jessica and I shared together and yet alone. Each of us has grown and learned from this experience. We are still remarkably close in each other's strives to make the other stronger, both on and off the track. We were the most unlikely team anyone expected to be competitive. When we showed up at the track, we were always the least experienced, with modest resources and most humble equipment. Yet it was me and my little girl doing the unexpected, winning when we shouldn't, always the underdog. So I'd really like to thank TEDx for giving this wonderful opportunity. I'd like to thank everyone attending. I'd also like to thank the folks like OB Credit Union, Heavy Equipment Supply Source, Fusion Graphics, and of course, Data Commercial Real Estate, which is my dad's company and one of the best real estate problem solvers in Washington. So I'd like to finish it with something that you guys might like. If you guys really like what the car sounded like, here you go. Thank you.